um, webinar today is all again about learning at Sewanee. So we're going to have presenters talking about the general education experience. What does a liberal arts college mean? We'll talk about academic advising and course registration, and we'll talk about academic support, coaching, mentorship, all of that. And so you'll hear from some really great colleagues, faculty, and staff, as well as some current students about their experience. So I would like to ask our first two presenters to join me. So Alex Bruce serves as the Associate Dean of the College for Undergraduate Academic Affairs, and Lily Mobley is a current student and serves as President of Order of the Gown for this coming year, in addition to many other things that she'll talk about today. But that's part of why we asked her to join us. So take it away, you two. Thanks so much.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Alex Bruce. I'm the Associate Dean of the College for Undergraduate Academic Affairs, and I'm delighted to be joined by Lily, and we're going to share a session here focusing on your academic experience. Um, Good job. You've made it. You made it through high school. Excellent. Well done. And now for the next big part of the adventure, coming here to campus in just a couple of months to begin your Sewanee experience. And and I may be biased, but I think it's very appropriate to begin with the academic experience because that's why you pick Sewanee. That's what we're really good at, and among other things. And you're going to have a tremendous 4 years here of growth and development in academics and beyond. When we think about your academic experience, for me, for my colleagues, it's really about helping you find your academic passion. And that's fun. You have things you're interested in now, things that have worked well for you, and that's going to grow and develop in the years to come. You will explore new directions. You're going to have an intellectual adventure that will be yours alone. The courses you take, the activities you're involved in, the professors you have, all of that's going to help shape your particular intellectual adventure. And you really have an education without boundaries. They're just something that will exceed what you may be expecting. I sure hope so. So we're really good with the academic structures, with the faculty we have. We provide structure, we provide guidance, we provide opportunities. It's a lot of putting things in place so that you, as a Sewanee student, and Lily's going to talk about what your typical Sewanee student really truly is like, but what you as a student will be able to take advantage of and benefit from during your time here at Sewanee. So that you have the big picture, I'm not going to get bogged down in details, but I think it helps to have the overarching perspective on what's the academic experience. Right. So over a typical 4-year, 8-semester plan, our students must earn 128 credit hours. You might not know what a credit hour is. You can think about it in terms of a regular academic course, and there's some that are modified and abbreviated, but your typical academic course is 4 semester hours, and you'll take 4 of those typically every semester over 8 semesters. Do all the math, 128 credit hours. So on average, 4 classes per semester, 8 semesters, and that's really that's what that's what the typical Sewanee student does. Now, if you are bringing in pre-college credit, AP, IB, dual enrollment, if later on you take summer school, if you find yourself taking an extra hour of music performance here or a 2-hour special topics class there, the the exact math may end up wiggling around, but you can be quite confident and expecting, and without question, in your first year, really your first 2 years, taking 16 hours, 4 classes per semester. What will they be in? Well, they'll probably be in general education, in part because it's hard to take classes at the introductory level, the 100 level. Classes are 100, 200, 300, 400. Introductory, 100 level. Not pretty close to thinking first, second, third, fourth year, but it's not quite as tidy as that. But many of your introductory level courses will by default fulfill general education. I'll talk a little bit about what gen ed is in a moment, but about a third of your coursework will be in general education. About a third will be in your major, that is the academic discipline that you get so excited about, you want to jump in and study at full speed ahead and learn everything you can. And about a third will be electives, courses that round out your education. You have chosen to attend a small residential liberal arts college, and all of those modifiers matter. The liberal arts aspect, a broad education where you learn to read well, write well, and think well. That's what we're really good at. Having electives gives you another angle on the world. Having a major lets you follow your passion. Having general education gives you a foundation that all students will share. And it's about developing academic habits of mind and skills, not the checklist of English 101, Math 101, History 101, whatever else 101. We want you to be able to read well. You'll be obliged to take a course that focuses on critical reading. We want you to write well. You'll take a course that focuses on effective writing skills. We want you to ponder profound questions, to think about artistic thought. That seems redundant, to think about thought, to explore the past and the present, to have numerical literacy and be able to understand numbers, to have firsthand experience with the scientific process, to learn a foreign language and engage with another culture, and to look deeply at a perspective that is perhaps not your own, to look at other perspectives. All these intellectual skills will be part of your general education experience. And again, you will take courses that meet those requirements simply by being a student and taking courses. You'll be exposed to a whole range of disciplines. You'll get to explore those majors as you're getting involved in these different courses within the general education curriculum. It's a lot of fun that way. It's not limited to just that checklist. It's rather a broad way of expanding how you think. Your major, by your fourth semester, you're into your academic interest, your passion, and you really get into it in full. And again, you will take electives to round out, to explore and discover, to engage in mental flexibility, to find another area you never thought existed and having great fun with it. That's an overview of what you'll be taking in your coursework, and it'll begin this summer with the course registration process, which others will be able to talk about it. But what I think you really want to know, and Lily's the expert. I am not. What do real Sewanee students do? What do they do, Lily?
Oh, Dean Bruce, that was the perfect setup. Thank you so much. I'm Lily Mobley, just to reintroduce myself. I'm a rising senior at Sewanee, pursuing a major in American Studies and a minor in politics. So I have 3 years of Sewanee education under my belt, and it is something that I love to talk about. I'm also serving as the Order of the Gown president for the upcoming school year, and I'll get into that a little bit more later down in the slides. So this is just a really quick overview of what Sewanee students do. Our education and our academics are very deeply embedded in our culture. It's something that we all care a lot about. We all get really, really excited to talk about these things. So taking responsibility for our own, for our individual education is something that we're very passionate about. This is seen in a couple different ways. Course selection is really important, pursuing those majors and minors that Dean Bruce was talking about and those electives. Also, and I think this kind of seems like it could be commonplace, but getting up, going to class, and being present is just like very, very important to all Sewanee students. We take a lot of pride in being present and being ready and being like active participants in our class. For those of you that maybe have had the chance to go on a tour, you probably heard that our average class size is around 16 students, which makes being very present in class very, very possible. So classes are very, individualized and super exciting. Along with that, completing assignments, our professors, we have really great communication with faculty. The faculty and staff are some of the most valuable resources, I think, on Sewanee's campus. We just have the most incredible array of experts in all kinds of different fields, people who have done incredible research, traveled all over the world. And it's just I'm so thankful for all the opportunities that I've had to work with faculty over the 3 years that I've had at Sewanee so far. And then obviously, along with this responsibility comes with, seeking and using the resources that are available. We have a ton of resources. We have whole departments dedicated to your education and to your academics. So please take advantage of those. I am so thankful for all of the opportunities that I found through offices like, the registrar and counseling services and the dean of students office. So really take charge and claim these opportunities for education. You can go to the next slide if you want, Dean Bruce. Perfect. Okay. There are also so many opportunities to grow outside of the traditional classroom that are very connected to education. Our on-campus or organizations. So I mentioned that I'm the president of the Order of the Gown. That is the oldest academic honor society and also the oldest form of student government on Sewanee's campus, which is a really neat opportunity. If you achieve a certain GPA after your first 2 semesters on campus, you'll be inducted into the Order of the Gown. So it's a really incredible tradition that we all carry along with us, and it informs a lot of what we do. Also, student and faculty research. This is something that I love to brag about when I talk to my friends that are at other universities because we have so many opportunities for undergraduate research. So that's just a really, really awesome opportunity. You can get involved in research as early as your freshman year. Another thing that I love to talk about, so many things, study abroad. I just recently studied abroad my first semester of my junior year. It was an absolutely incredible experience. It was all, completely funded by Sewanee. It was super helpful exposure to a different kind of education. And I got to come back and share all these experiences that my friends had also experienced studying abroad. Along with that, we have a ton of opportunities for community engagement courses. You can even earn a certification. If you take a certain amount of courses, this is something that we can talk about in depth, but that's just a really great opportunity. Along with that, different internships, again, that you have to, you can seek out through these different departments that are aimed at helping grow your education into the real world. And also bigger things like Rhodes and Watson and Fulbright scholarships. A lot of Sewanee students are doing all of these things. They're very accessible for us, and that we have all of the resources on campus to achieve those things. So please take full advantage of that as well. Um, Along with that, building relationships. It is a really small residential college, and that has kind of bred this just like very dedicated mindset about education. That's one of the things I love most about Sewanee. It really drew me in. Again, we're gonna really hammer it in. Just being in class matters so much. Like I said, that 16-person average class size, people notice when you're not in class, and people want you to be in class. Your professors especially want you to be in class. And some of the most incredible discussions that I've ever had have happened during my classes at Sewanee. So you want to be in class. Along with that, every professor has a set of office hours. These are really great opportunities to talk with your professors about class, but also just about like internship opportunities, thoughts about study abroad, research opportunities. And inviting faculty, like, and asking to be a present in their office is really like taking initiative and taking a first step. And I know that seems really daunting. I was very, very intimidated to do that my freshman year, but as soon as I started doing it, I found that it really unlocked like a whole nother part of my education. So yeah, get to know your faculty. A lot of faculty live on campus too, which is really neat. Some students go and have dinner at their professors' houses. So it's very much cultural to be invested in education and to have these relationships with faculty. I think there's one more slide, maybe. Yes. Okay. This is also super, super important. So, unlike your high schools, which probably sent your parents your grades, your parents don't get your grades, which is kind of like woohoo, freedom. But it is super important to maintain that relationship with your parents about your grades. So you get to decide what you share, but it is important to establish what the conversation about what aspects of your grades are shared now so that there's not a lack of communication. It's important to upkeep your grades as far as like scholarships and things like that. So, I'm very thankful that I was able to communicate my grades with my parents. They help keep me on track. And I would recommend just, maintaining that level of transparency so that everyone in your household is able to be informed about your grades and your education.
Thank you for that, Lily. And I'm going to end just by reiterating that point. When I spoke with your parents at a seminar like this or webinar last week, I highlighted conversations that should happen now, not after the fact. And that last one about what are the shared expectations about academics, about grades, about performance. Have that conversation now. It'll make it a lot easier. So thank you for listening. And Emily, back to you.
Thanks, guys. That was great. And certainly I continue to like learn about what's the academic experience here, having not gone here, but really loving to hear about all of the things our students are doing and the ways that it's being shaped to them. So we're going to go to our next section. Remember, folks, if you have questions, please feel free to submit them now. But our next presenters are our Assistant Dean for Integrated Advising, Brooke Harrington, and a student, Ty Kazi, who does lots of things, including being on the baseball team. So we'll probably ask him to talk a little bit about being an athlete. But they're going to talk with you about advising, course registration, working through building relationships with your academic advisor, and even more. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Emily. Welcome, everybody. We're glad to have you here, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall. I'm going to go over just a little bit of the details about advising, who's going to be your advisor, and then just briefly go over the course selection form. Hopefully, everybody's taken a look at that, but if you have questions, I can answer those for you, and you can always email advising@sewanee.edu if you have other questions after today. So to answer the question about who your advisor is, every incoming first year student will be assigned an academic advisor. This is going to be a member of the faculty. And when we can, we will pair you with a faculty member who is teaching a class that you are going to be enrolled in for the fall. If not, then we will try to find a faculty member who is aligned with something of interest that you put on your form. So whether that might be a major interest, maybe it's a subject interest, whatever the case is, we're going to try to pair you with something that's similar between the two of you. It's really important that you develop a relationship with them. Your advisor can be really helpful just in feeling comfortable at Sewanee, but also if you have academic questions, just to get to know them. They are a great resource. And so when we can pair you with somebody that you see on a regular basis, it makes it a little bit easier. Because yes, it can be intimidating as a first-time freshman to go into office hours and talk to faculty. I was in that boat. I know it can be really scary. But I assure you, the faculty want you to come in. They really do. So just go in. You don't always have to schedule an appointment. You go in during office hours. If those office hours don't work for you, you can absolutely just reach out to your advisor or your faculty to schedule an appointment outside of office hours. So they are available to be an excellent resource for you in a number of capacities. So every student will be assigned one, and then you'll have that same advisor until you declare your major. At that time, you will have a faculty advisor within that department of your major. Every major is a little bit different in how they go about that declaration process. And so like some of them, they'll assign an advisor to you. Other times you may know of a faculty member who you want to be your advisor, and then you'll just get the department chair's approval on that. Not something you have to worry about right now, just something to keep in the back of your mind. Students typically will declare their major during their second semester of their sophomore year. If you absolutely know when you come back after your freshman year, you come back in the fall of your sophomore year and know what you want to major in, that's okay to go ahead and declare then. As soon as you get a faculty advisor within that department, you can start building that new relationship and then also kind of have insights into research that you could potentially do with them, and just learn a little bit more about career opportunities within that major. So if you're dead set and you know exactly what you want to major in, that's okay to go ahead and declare before that second semester. But worst case scenario, you will declare second semester of your sophomore year before that registration that takes place for the following junior year. Okay. Talking about the academics of your first year. Students will be, as Dean Bruce said, registered for 4 classes, and this happens each semester. At some point, a student can request to take an overload of 5 classes, but during your first year, you won't, and you really don't want to necessarily either. We want you to have a really balanced life as a first year student, and so that's balanced with social activities as well as academics. And so taking 4 classes, that's a full load, that's a standard curriculum size for each semester for every student. So know that that's a little unusual compared to high school, but that is a standard at Sewanee. And as long as you're doing that 4 times each semester, then you will graduate on time, no problem. 128 hours to graduate. And so as long as you stay on course with those 4 classes each semester, you'll be good to go. What we want you to think about is when you're looking at that course selection form, a lot of students will think, I want to major in, let's say, finance, or I'm going to do pre-health. So I need biology, I need chemistry. Like in the back of your mind, you know what kind of courses you need. You're not going to take all of those up front. And you also might not all be in an English 101 class. So just know we are going to look at that form very intently. And so we want you to just answer the questions honestly, not the way you think that the form should be filled out to make the perfect schedule for your fall. We will do that for you, I promise. We want you to really think about like, what are your interests? What are potential majors that you want to look at studying? Nothing has to be concrete right now. Again, with that 128 credits, almost a third of those are going to be electives. This first year is a great opportunity just to explore different classes, different topics. If you're thinking about 3 different majors, take a class in each of those different subject areas. So again, all of those classes are going to contribute to your 128 credits that you need for graduation. So just because it's not counting for something, like we're not checking a box, it's still going towards your overall graduation requirements. So again, just don't think about the form in terms of like, what do I have to take, or what's going to be the most useful, and can I count it as a general education? Don't worry about that, I promise. We really want you to have a successful first semester. And typically when you're taking classes in areas where you're in a stronger skill set or you have a sincere interest in it, you'll likely do a little bit better in that. And so that's really what we want to prepare you for, is just to set you up for success. We'll build a schedule as balanced as we can. If you are an athlete, we will take that into consideration and won't typically put you in any classes that would conflict with your practice schedule. We're also looking for classes that don't only meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, for example, or only Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. For your first semester, it's really helpful to be in class every day, just until you decide how your own time management system works and kind of the balance of having all the freedom and all of the independence and the discipline to get your coursework done. So we'll look at that and try to build that into the schedule as well. So that's what we're looking at, is trying to find classes and subjects that you're interested in, and then something that's going to lead to a balanced time and day scheduling as well. So if I can just ask you, just fill out that form just with sincerity. That's all it is. Just answer the questions as you would without thinking too much into it. That's really what we want to take away from that. One other thing about the course selection form is you will see a drop down for language. That should have your language placement on it. If it doesn't, you can email me, advising@sewanee.edu, and I can look it up for you. But what you'll do is rank the 3 languages. So what is your preference of their first language? What is your preference of second? And what is your preference of third? So not everybody can get their first preference. And a lot of times that's Spanish. A lot more students are interested in taking Spanish than they are other languages. And there just aren't enough seats for everybody. And so some people might end up taking French or Italian or any other language, but that's where we want you to rank those. So like, what would be your second choice? So if like you absolutely do not want to take Chinese, please don't put that down, because it's possible that you could be registered in Chinese because you listed it there. So, so just think about that in terms of the language. Only put the languages that you would be willing to take. And I think that covers it for the course selection form. Again, please feel free to email advising@sewanee.edu. We also have two faculty working this June who can take a Zoom call and kind of go through other questions that you may have as well. If you are pre-health or pre-engineering, please put that on your form, even if you're considering it, because that is a very um, staggered, I guess I would say, kind of a stepstone sort of program of study. We don't have majors in those, but programs of study. And so many prereqs exist, like courses you have to take before you're able to take another course. And so we'll set you off in your first semester taking those. But if you know you absolutely don't want to do engineering, maybe you think you should do engineering, but you absolutely don't want to do it, there's no reason to put it on the form because chances are you will be registered in a physics course if you are interested in engineering. So again, just answer the question sincerely, not what you think it's supposed to be, just basically what is it in your heart of hearts to decide. Okay. Um, so I've just drafted a few questions for Ty that I think might help you all kind of in this process of like, oh my gosh, there's so much information about academics. How am I supposed to choose my major? What am I supposed to do my first year? It's a lot of information. And so Ty is a great student and just like great, well-rounded student, not just academically, but just a good student and just a good representation, I think, of a Sewanee student. So he'll be really helpful to give you an honest opinion. So Ty, what do you recommend for students as they select their classes on the course selection form?
The
Like, how do they
biggest,
go about that process?
yeah, the biggest thing when doing your course selection is just select things you're interested in. Even if you're like a little hesitant, but you think it looks interesting, your freshman year is your time to explore it. It's the time to, if anything looks interesting at all, take a class on it. And even if it's not for you after the first week, you can always meet with your advisor. You can transfer out of the class. But use that time to really explore everything. Because especially for me, I thought I was really going to be like a finance or an econ major. And after taking some classes, I found that I aligned a lot with the psychology department. So now I'm a psych major, and I'm also the head of Psychi, which is the Psychology Honor Society. So just very different from how I thought I'd come in. So really just allow yourself to explore those interests, meet the professors in each department, and really just kind of see where you fit.
Thanks, Ty. And you had alluded to it that like you can transfer out of a class, but I think a lot of students, when they get into class, it's kind of like, oh, it's overwhelming, or this is not what I expected it to be. Personally, I would recommend staying in at least two class periods before you make that decision. You have 1 week in order to change your schedule on that first week to change your schedule. Hopefully, we're building a schedule. You don't really have to change it, but if you get into something, you're kind of like, that's not quite what I had imagined. My best recommendation is don't call your mom. Like she can't help. So, Ty, what would you recommend instead of calling your mom?
Number one thing is just go to your advisor. Your advisor is willing to help you. And I think what's really unique about Swanee is you can also go to that professor and meet with them first and say, hey, before I even go to my advisor, I'm really struggling, or this is kind of, I don't feel like it's a good fit. What can I do? Or is there something else I'm missing? So that's a big thing. Just meet with your professor. Then obviously, if you need to make a change, you can go to your advisor. They're usually more than willing to help, and they'll get you in the right class or whatever's the best fit for you. And then last, like, don't be afraid to approach an upperclassman, somebody who kind of led you through orientation, or somebody that's on a team or in a club with you. A lot of the upperclassmen at Sewanee are like more than willing to help. Especially with me on the baseball team, a lot of the upperclassmen have helped me a lot through the years of what classes to take, and different procedures and picking classes and things like that.
Thanks, Ty. Good advice. What would you say are some of the biggest surprises academic wise that you had in your first semester?
I think honestly, it's just how relaxed it is. Like Lily was talking a little bit about, your parents aren't as involved. You're taking four classes, and your professors, like, you'll eat at their houses. They're really approachable. So it's a very relaxed nature, but you have to take accountability. Like, it is relaxed in the sense that it's not as intense as high school, but if you don't take it seriously, it can really just build up. So I recommend really taking accountability, getting to know your professors, and because they're there to help you at the end of the day and they want to see you succeed. So I would say definitely the relaxed and more approachable professors is a change, and your parents aren't as involved. So make sure you're taking agency in what you're doing and really trying to get involved with everything.
Great advice. Very true. Any other last words of wisdom that you want to share with any of these students, academic wise?
I think the biggest thing is kind of don't restrict yourself early on. Like I thought I was going to do finance and econ right off the bat, and I ended up doing psych. However, I got really involved with the business center, and they actually sent me to a program at Vanderbilt, which was completely consulting and business based. So I came back from that experience and started a consulting club at Sewanee. And it's kind of full circle that I thought I was going to do finance or econ, then I went more psych, and then I kind of tied both of those interests and into something like consulting, which is very psychology and very like econ finance based. But it was really what worked for me. So don't ever close a door, especially at Sewanee, because it'll open right back up and you'll never know where you're going to end up. So,
Great advice. Thanks, Ty.
no worries.
Emily, back to you.
That was great. What a great example of like finding that major pathway that you didn't expect to find. And a great segue to our next prisoners, Elizabeth Swallow, who's one of our coaches in career readiness and student success, and Chloe Crawford, who is a proctor, which is what we call resident advisors or resident assistants, RAs on other campuses, and is doing research this summer and like all kinds of things. I know Chloe in lots of different ways. So they're going to talk to you about the resources available to help you support you in advising, coaching, time management, career prep, all the things to help you find success. So Elizabeth, take it away.
Thank you so much, Emily, and welcome everyone. It's great to see you all. We're so excited to have you on campus in just a few weeks. As Emily said, I'm Elizabeth Swallow. I am one of the career readiness and student success coaches here at Sewanee, and we're part of the broader office of the career readiness and student success. And so within our office, we do a few different flavors. And really, as a coach, we are here. We're here to support you from the day you enter into Sewanee until you exit, and maybe slightly even beyond. So we're really here to walk alongside you during your journey, and that can really turn up in a few different flavors. As we're saying, we're going to emphasize the academic things of this. Maybe that's more of the student success side of things. So what does that really look like? Well, I mentioned there's coaching. So that's really an opportunity for you to for us to get to know you. And that's going to be like a 25-minute appointment. One, we'll probably ask you where you're coming from. We want to get to know you. What are you interested in, right? Like, we want to know you. So we're going to ask you a bunch of questions. But then also, right, like we want to help you navigate the experience of Sewanee. You'll be located around campus. You'll be learning to navigate and use lots of different buildings. And if you have questions about how to do that, don't hesitate to come by. We're here to support you, like I said, and really see us as a navigational hub. We know lots of the resources mentioned on campus. And if you're not quite sure how to navigate them, whether or not that's how do I start having that conversation with that academic advisor I really need to have, feel free to come by. We're more than happy to practice that with you, give you some ideas of how to approach that conversation. Again, student success wise, right? Like I think Ty mentioned it, right? Like it's going to be a little bit different from high school. You're going to have a lot more maybe of an open schedule compared to having the demands of being in a class all the time. That independence is lovely, and it can also provide a challenge, right? Like you're now having to take ownership and agency over that, and that can be an interesting and just a different transition for many students. So again, we're here to like help talk through all of those different aspects. So I imagine you're feeling very excited about coming to Sewanee. And I imagine there may be some hesitation, some nerves there too. All are okay, but again, we're here to support you, listen to your story, listen to about your experience, and really help you direct and navigate towards those different resources. Also, as you mentioned, right, like we're a career readiness and student success office. So we're also related to what are you going to be doing in the future? At the minute, you're just coming into college, and you'll also be thinking over the next few years while you've been joining us on campus, like, what do you want to be doing afterwards? And I can't tell you enough how many resources you as a Sewanee student have to be able to help you through that process. And so we're here to help provide you with those, educate how to utilize them the best. That could be, I want to do a really interesting experience to help go alongside my academics. Maybe I want to try something out. What does that actually look like in the work world? Those are all great opportunities to take advantage of, and you have many amazing connections here at Sewanee. In addition to that, we have an amazing alumni network. We'll also be able to hook you up to that. So there are so many different conversations in our office we're really excited to have with you all and to really get to know you. So that's kind of like the big picture of things. We're here as a coaching team. We're here to support you. What I want to mention, I think Emily dropped it into the chat, you're able to make an appointment through the Student Success Portal. That's the mechanism to be able to do that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our office. You can send an email to careers@sewanee.edu. I think the most valuable thing as well, like Chloe's kindly joined us as one of our amazing students, and she's interacted with our office quite a few times to also share the experience of what does it look like from a student standpoint. So I'm going to ask Chloe a few different questions, and we'll sort of take it from there. So I wonder, Chloe, right, like, can you speak to some of your experience of interacting with our office? Maybe first of all from the student success side of things, because that will be sort of maybe more likely to have an interaction point as incoming students are coming into Sewanee.
Yeah, when I first came to the Student Success office when I was a freshman, I was more so kind of confused on what to do when it came to like studying and time management. So kind of I was directed towards the Student Success office by my peers. So when I sat down an appointment with Miss Swallow, I was able to come up with various resources and methods to help me study and manage my time, like figuring out what works for me through expressing my concerns. And I think that just coming to your office is kind of like a way, it's kind of like a hub, which allows you to branch off. And like if you guys are very resource knowledgeable, so it just helps us to navigate our Swanee experience in the best way possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like that's part of it, right? Like a navigational hub is definitely an essential part of what our office is doing. Can you also like speak to we mentioned that you were doing an amazing summer opportunity on campus. Can you speak to your also experience interacting with our office from a career readiness side of things too?
Yes. When I was applying for internships, I was very, very confused. I was like, how do I figure out how to do a resume? How do I write a cover letter? So coming to your office and seeing all the resources that are even at my fingertips with throughout, I mean, even though through not booking an appointment, just like looking on the Brightspace, which you guys will all have access to once you start taking classes. But I was able to just sit down and they ask you questions about what you want to do this summer, and then narrow down the opportunities and figure out how to find the best thing for you. So I feel like, just the advice and resources that are provided through career readiness definitely allow you to figure out what you want to do and how best to navigate getting to that point.
Fantastic. And then also like I really wanted to sort of right again we're in this sort of like transition moment between high school and now coming into college. And so I wanted to sort of like hear what was your experience like between high school and college expectations, maybe how did they differ or how are they similar? Like what can you from your student lens can you provide incoming students?
The one thing that was very different for me was that no one is going to remind me that something is due. Like, I very early on realized that I was responsible for making sure that I had to get things done. So, I think the one thing that I would say is find whatever means that you think works for you to help you remind yourself that you have things to get done because your mom is not going to remind you that you have an essay due in 2 weeks. You have to remind yourself and keep yourself motivated.
I know. I think that's one of the hardest things, even as like an employee and as a colleague, you have to like figure out how to do things. Also, I wanted to ask you the question of like, yeah, kind of like Brooke said to Ty, like any piece of advice you would want, wish you had known as an incoming Sewanee student, what would you have hoped to have known?
I did not know how many options I had coming to Swanee. I think I had a very, like Ty was saying earlier, like I thought I wanted to be in pre-engineering or I thought I wanted to be a physics major. And I was very set on that. And when I came to Swanee and I started uh, looking into different things, I realized that there are so many more options here on campus. There are pre-law advising, there's pre-health, there's so many other things that you can do. And, you shouldn't narrow yourself into a box, but definitely explore and take advantage of Swanee. Another thing also is office hours. I didn't know what office hours were until at least my first week into Swanee, but office hours are an opportunity to get to know your professor one-on-one and ask questions. It's probably my cheat code to really being able to understand the information and get to know your professor, because having a personal relationship and really, like, if you're confused or you have any small questions, just that interaction really helps you to like advance in the class and understand the information better.
Can't agree more. I know that we've spoken a little bit about connecting with your professors throughout this, right? Like the importance of building relationships has been the heart of some of the Swanee experience. Thank you so much. I think for now, I would love to know if there's any questions and pass it back to Emily Britt too.
Thanks, Elizabeth and Chloe. That was great. Really great tips. So I'm actually going to put all of our current students on the spot. So if Lily and Ty will join me and Chloe, I have a couple of questions, just some tips and tricks that you might recommend. So my first question is, what has been your favorite class that you've taken that wasn't for your major or your minor? Something that maybe was outside the box. That you thought was really interesting or fun? Who
I can
wants
go
to
first. I
tie
actually
first?
just got back from a 3 week trip that was part of a class for the Dynamics of International Business class, where we got to go to Singapore and Vietnam, and it was just an unbelievable experience. We took a whole semester to learn about business and economies in Singapore and Vietnam, and then going there and meeting with all these different businesses in all sorts of areas. It was just awesome. And it's something I just never thought I'd be able to do. So it was just awesome.
That's really cool. There's several of those classes that have that summer component where you get to travel. So that's really cool. That's a good one. Lily or Chloe, what was your favorite so far?
I can go next. I'm pretty sure my sophomore year at some point took a class called The Ramblin' Blues, and it was about the history of Southern music, and it was a really, really cool class. I love music. I love learning about music. It's not any kind of a part of my like majors or minors, but this was just um I don't know, I just was really interested in this class and it turned out to be really interesting. I learned a lot about the history of the blues, and actually had a really cool connection to another class that I was taking about the South and like the history of the South. So yeah, that was one of my favorites that I've ever taken.
That also sounds really interesting. Okay, Chloe, what about you?
A class that I have taken that was really interesting for me, or my favorite, would be Utopias and Dystopias, which is a humanities class here at Swanee. I really like that class because I'm a STEM major, so this was like me really being like a fish out of water. But I just like the way that the professors kind of like it was a class where it was mixed with three professors, and you would have different sections, and I liked the way that it was formatted and the way that each professor would kind of go about speaking about different topics. I don't know, I think that utopias and like the way that they would bring the information back to the modern day, I don't know, that class is one I recommend. It does fulfill multiple genets too, so it's like kind of my cheat code class, but it was a really, really good class.
Yeah, I see lots of students that are taking that one when I'm like helping students with all kinds of things. I'm like, oh, that sounds really interesting. So that's really cool. Okay, my next question is, how do you balance all of the things you're doing, your classes, if you work, ties on a varsity athletic team, you're involved in student organizations, you're leaders in those groups. Like, what is your hack What are your practices, your tips for staying balanced? Chloe, go first.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, well, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm a Google Calendar. That is my tried and true. When I went to the student success office, I was able to like figure out what colors work best for me and what formatting. My Google Calendar is like my baby. So that is the one thing that really helps me to stay focused and kind of like keep track of what I need to do. Also, I'm a very digital person. So having various apps like Goblin Tools or like Notability, which are just like something I can pull up on my phone, but also on a different device to keep myself organized and like set reminders for things. So those like just using online resources, especially Google Calendar, really help me stay focused no matter what the thing is that I need to remind myself.
I saw major head nods also from Lily and Ty when you said Google Calendar. We're a Google-based campus, so hopefully everybody uses their Google Calendar and checks their email. But what else are we doing?
I mean, Google Calendar was the one I was gonna say too. I think like even as silly as like scheduling like a walk with my roommate sometimes on Google Calendar, it just like holds me really accountable to doing things outside of academics too. And that I think has been one of the biggest things that I've learned about balancing is like just really time management is easier said than done, but once you get into the flow of how your courses and other activities will go, it'll get a lot easier. I also just really like to write things down. I like take handwritten notes in class. So sometimes I'll like write out sticky notes and like to-do lists for the day. So I have like a very visual tracker of all of the things that I've accomplished during the day. But yeah, that would be GCal is a lifesaver. So that's my biggest one.
That's awesome. And what about you, Ty?
Yeah, I'm big into Google Calendar as well, especially with sports, clubs and whatever. It just helps keep everything in line. But I think the only other thing that I do is I this is probably a little overkill, but I have a master sheet of all my assignments for each semester, what class, the date they're due, and they're all organized by date. So I can kind of see what weeks are like coming up that look really stressful, and I'll try to kind of get ahead on the weeks where I don't have as much. It's just something that helps me visualize what's coming, and everything I've completed and how close I am to certain breaks and stuff like that, because it's easy to visualize, especially with assignments.
That's a great tip. Those are awesome. Okay, my last question for you is what's your favorite place to study on campus?
I'm a big first floor library fan. I like a little bit of noise,
Mhm.
unless like I really have to lock in and get a paper done, then usually it's dorm room or second floor library. But usually first floor library at one of the big group tables, just sitting there getting my work done.
That's a popular spot. And one of the things that's true at Sewanee, it's true at other colleges too, but the higher up you go in the library by floor, the quieter it gets. So if you need to be like silent, take it upstairs. Okay, where else are we studying, Lily and Chloe?
I'm also a big fan of the first floor. I also love the second floor. The little individual desks are my favorite. And I also really, really like there's some picnic tables outside of Snowden, which is the natural resources and like soft science building. And when the weather's really nice, that's a really awesome spot to study. Also inside Snowden is really nice. So yeah.
My three kind of like study spots that I rotate between are the bottom of Beale because there's couches and tables down there. Beale is kind of like a new student dining area that we have, and I just love sitting down there because it's kind of quiet sometimes, and it's just very you're near nature. I also, because I am a proctor, I do study very often in the common rooms of the
Mhm.
dorms just because. And I also like studying in Spencer because Spencer's a very open building and you get to see like normally I'm studying during the day, so I get to see my professors in passing and it gives me opportunity to ask questions sometimes.
Those are all great spots. There's tons of spots on campus, but that's one of my favorite questions to ask students. That and what's your favorite thing to eat at McClurg? Because people come up with some really creative things in the dining hall, and I need to know the hack too. Well, thanks everybody. This has been, I've learned some stuff and I hope that you have too. Some of our presenters will stick around for just a few minutes in case everybody needs or anybody else needs to ask a question. But other than that, we really appreciate you being with us tonight.